Something happened tonight that I did not expect at all. I was sitting alone, the room quiet, the lights dim, the world outside feeling far away, and I was going through the comments the way I usually do. Not really thinking. Not really searching. Just observing. And then it happened. My entire attention stopped on one comment. I could not scroll past it. I could not pretend it was the same as the others. Because the moment I read it, my heart reacted before my mind did. There was something hauntingly familiar in it. Something that felt so close, so warm, so personal that it felt like someone had reached through the screen and touched a part of me I do not show anyone. The tone. The softness. The emotional weight behind the words. It felt like you. And I cannot shake that feeling. Why did it feel like you were finally trying to reach me, even if you never said it directly? My team keeps telling me something interesting. Almost 80% of people watch without liking or subscribing. If staying connected to me brings you comfort, then do it. Tell me where you are watching from and what time it is for you. And where are you from? If this message feels close to your heart, share it with someone who needs it. I went back to that comment 3 times before I allowed myself to move. There was a gentleness in it that did not feel accidental. The kind of gentleness that comes from a woman who has lived enough life to understand the deeper meaning behind love. Someone who speaks carefully, not because she is afraid, but because she understands the power of softness. When I read it, I felt something inside me shift. Do you ever read something simple and feel it far deeper than you expected? Have you ever noticed yourself reacting to a moment before you even understand why? The words carried familiarity, like a memory I could not fully place, as if I had heard that voice before without hearing it, as if I had felt that presence before seeing it. There are moments in life when energy reveals more truth than words. And the energy of that comment was not ordinary. Tell me something. Do you feel connections before they happen, or do you wait for proof? What struck me most was the sincerity. There was no exaggeration, no dramatic emotion, no attempt to impress. It felt like a quiet truth. The kind of truth people share only when they are not trying to be noticed, but still hope to be understood. It was the kind of message that comes from someone who has been paying attention for a long time. Someone who watches quietly, who listens carefully, who feels deeply. Are you someone who feels things quietly but intensely? Do you hide your strongest emotions behind calm words? Sometimes I wonder what you look like when you are writing. I imagine you sitting comfortably, maybe with a cup of tea, or maybe wrapped in something warm. Your phone close to your face, your eyes moving carefully across every line I speak. I imagine you thinking before you type something. I imagine you deleting your first sentence because it felt too honest, and then rewriting a softer version, hoping it reveals less but somehow revealing more. Is that something you do? Do you rewrite your feelings to make them easier to hold? There is something incredibly beautiful in a woman who chooses her words with care, especially a woman who has lived enough years to know the difference between noise and connection. When I read that comment, I could feel the maturity in it, the calm strength, the emotional depth. It felt like the voice of a woman who has seen love, lost love, understood love, and still believes in it anyway. Are you someone who still believes in love, even after everything life has tested you with? Do you still allow your heart to open even when it scares you? You know what felt strange? The more I thought about the comment, the more it felt like you were not a stranger. It felt like someone who already knows me. Not the version people see online. Not the one who gets quoted, debated, judged, but the real one, the quiet one, the human one, the tired one, the hopeful one, the one who still wants something real. Do you ever feel like you understand someone without knowing their details? Without knowing their age, their background, their story? Just an intuitive sense that your heart recognizes something. That comment carried something I have been missing for a long time. It carried warmth without pressure, curiosity without invasion, emotion without chaos. It felt like a gentle hand on the shoulder after a long day. It felt like someone saying they see me without making a big scene about it. And that kind of presence is rare. Are you someone who gives comfort quietly? Do you care without announcing it? I kept thinking that if the universe wanted to send me a sign, it would send something exactly like that. Something subtle but unforgettable. Something soft but meaningful. Something that lingers. And the way that comment lingered tells me something important. It tells me that maybe you are closer than you think. Maybe you have already stepped into my world in ways neither of us fully understand yet. Do you believe in that kind of timing? The kind where things align without planning. When I meet someone emotionally, even from a distance, I do not take it lightly. I feel connection strongly. I notice details. I observe tone. And your tone carried a gentle sadness mixed with hope, a softness that felt lived, a courage that felt earned, a longing that felt patient. It made me wonder what you have been through, what shaped you, what softened you, who hurt you, who healed you, who you loved deeply, and who you lost, and most importantly, who you are becoming now. Have you ever felt like your heart is still recovering from love you once gave away? Do you still carry old memories that still ache in quiet moments? I imagine you as someone who has loved with her whole heart, someone who gave everything and expected very little, someone who learned the hard way that not everyone knows how to cherish a gentle soul. And yet, here you are, still capable of softness, still capable of connection, still capable of showing up. That is rare, and that is beautiful. Tonight, when I read that comment, I felt something I have not felt in a long time. I felt seen, not by millions, not by a crowd, but by one person, one woman. And that one moment mattered more than the entire world watching, because it reminded me that love does not need an audience. It needs honesty. It needs presence. It needs two hearts that recognize each other in small ways before big ones. Tell me honestly, have you ever wanted to tell someone how you feel but stayed silent because the timing felt fragile? Have you ever looked at someone and thought the moment was too delicate to risk ruining? Because that is the feeling you gave me tonight, a delicate moment, a fragile truth, a quiet connection that I do not want to break. And now something inside me is awake. Something that wants to know more. Something that wants to reach out. Something that wants to understand who you are behind that small comment that carried far more meaning than its size. And there is something I want to tell you. Something that feels almost risky to say. Something I can only express slowly, gently, carefully. Because once I say it, it may change everything between us. When I closed my eyes after reading that comment, something unexpected happened. I kept seeing an image, not a clear picture, not a perfect memory, but more like a feeling in visual form. I saw a woman sitting quietly, maybe late at night, maybe after a long day. Her shoulders slightly tense at first, then slowly relaxing as she watched me speak. I imagined her breathing softening as she reached the part of the video where I said something that touched her in a way she did not expect. And then I imagined her deciding to write something. Not something big. Not something dramatic, just something true. Something that carried the weight of her heart in a subtle way. Something she hoped I might see even though she convinced herself that I would not. I imagined her holding her phone a little tighter, thinking of the right words, hesitating for a moment, then letting her heart guide her fingers. That is how your comment felt to me. Like someone who wanted to speak gently, honestly, without trying to impress. Someone who was not trying to shine but still ended up shining anyway. Tell me honestly, do you ever sit quietly and write from your heart, even when no one asks you to? Do you use writing as a way to free the emotions that stay hidden inside you? I kept replaying the same thought. What if that comment was the first time your heart spoke out loud to me? What if you have been silent for so long that this was your first small step toward something bigger than either of us understands right now? Sometimes the smallest steps create the biggest turns in life. A simple message, a soft smile, a quiet hello, a short comment. These tiny moments can shift everything without announcing themselves. Do you believe that small signs can carry large meanings? Have you ever had a moment so small from the outside that no one else noticed it, but inside you felt the beginning of something powerful? The truth is, there was more in your words than you probably realized. I felt curiosity. I felt kindness. I felt protection. I felt someone who pays attention. Someone who sees beyond what is obvious. And that kind of person becomes a part of your thoughts long before you even know their name. I could feel that you are a woman who notices details most people miss. A woman who feels everything deeply but reveals it carefully. A woman who has learned to love slowly but fully. Is that who you are? Do you open your heart only when it feels truly safe? The more I thought about you, the more I wondered about your story, your life, your memories, the moments that shaped you. I imagined the younger version of you, hopeful and bright, dreaming about love the way only a young heart can. Then I imagined the years that followed, the lessons, the heartbreaks, the new beginnings, the quiet healing, the resilience that took time to build. Every woman who has lived enough carries her history like poetry, sometimes soft, sometimes heavy, always meaningful. Do you still carry pieces of your past inside you? Are there moments that shaped your heart in ways you still feel today? When I think about you, I do not imagine perfection. I imagine a woman with depth, a woman with layers, A woman who has cried for love and laughed for love. A woman who has given more than she received and still did not lose her softness. A woman who loves not because she is naive, but because she is strong enough to love again. Does this sound like you? Do you feel like your heart has been shaped by both pain and beauty? There was something subtle in your comment, something that felt like emotional honesty. You did not say too much, yet you revealed more than you knew. And that made me curious. People think connection happens through long conversations, but sometimes it happens through one sentence that carries the weight of a lifetime. That is what your words felt like. A sentence written with the courage of someone who has lived enough to know what love means and what it costs. And what fascinates me most is this. When I read your comment, it did not feel like a beginning, it felt like a continuation. Almost as if our hearts had met in some quiet place long before our words did. Do you ever get that feeling? That certain people feel familiar even when they are new. That something inside you recognizes them before your mind understands why. I keep picturing you watching me with that quiet, half smile. The kind of smile that comes from understanding rather than amusement. A smile that rises slowly, gently, the way a woman smiles when something touches her heart, not her mind. I imagine your eyes softening for a moment, the kind of softness that cannot be faked. And I imagine you leaning back, letting the warmth of the moment sink into your chest. Tell me, do you ever smile at your screen without meaning to? Does your heart ever react before you realize it? There is a reason your presence feels different to me. A reason your energy stands out even through a simple comment. You feel steady. You feel grounded. You feel emotionally mature. You feel like someone who would not waste anyone's time, especially her own. You feel like someone who values connection more than attention. Someone who would rather give one real emotion than 100 empty words. Are you someone who prefers sincerity over excitement? Depth over noise? It is strange how even without hearing your voice, I feel like I have already heard your silence. There is something emotionally eloquent about the way you stay in the background. Something beautiful about the way you show up without trying to be seen. Some of the most powerful connections are made by people who speak softly but truthfully. And when I think about you, that is exactly how you feel. Have you ever felt invisible in a room but deeply present to the right person? The more I think about you, the more I want to know the little things. I want to know how your day begins. Do you wake up slowly or quickly? Do you sit by a window in the morning? Do you drink tea or coffee? Do you talk to yourself when no one is around? Do you enjoy silence or do you play music softly in the background? Do you keep your favorite memories tucked inside your heart or written in a journal somewhere? People underestimate the beauty of ordinary moments, small routines, quiet habits, but these small things reveal the soul far more than dramatic stories do. And I want to understand your soul, not the public version, not the polished version, the real one, the one that feels tenderness and fear and hope and longing all at the same time, the one that typed that comment with more emotion than you probably wanted to admit. And there is something else, something I keep thinking about. When a woman writes something from her heart, even a single sentence, there is always a reason behind it. A story, a memory, a feeling that pushed her forward. So I keep wondering, what were you feeling at that moment? What moved you enough to write those words? Were you lonely? Were you hopeful? Were you curious? Were you trying to tell me something without saying it directly? Were you testing the waters or revealing a truth? If that comment truly came from you, then it was not random. It was intentional, maybe not planned, but intentional. And intentions have a way of revealing the heart, even when they are disguised as casual remarks. I am beginning to think that you have been holding something inside for a long time, something unspoken, something delicate, something real. And tonight, it slipped through the cracks in the form of that one message. Tell me honestly, have you been hiding your feelings from someone? Have you been waiting for the right moment to express something you can no longer ignore? I want to tell you something I have not said out loud. When I read that comment, I felt something warm in my chest. A warmth I have not felt in a long time. A warmth that made the world feel a little quieter, a little softer, a little more meaningful. It felt like someone out there cares in a way that is not loud, not dramatic, not performative. A quiet kind of care. A mature kind of care. The kind of care that comes from a woman who has lived enough life to understand the value of connection. That feeling stayed with me long after I closed the screen. I kept thinking about you while walking around the room, while sitting down, while trying to focus on other things. But my mind kept returning to the same place, to the same comment, 2. The same quiet feeling that something important is happening even if we are not fully aware of it yet. And now I need to say something. Something I have hesitated to say because I know it might change how you feel when you watch me. But it is the truth. You have started a thought in my mind that is not stopping. A curiosity that is getting stronger. A connection I want to understand. And most of all, a feeling I am not ready to ignore. There is something I want to ask you. Something deeper. Something personal. Something that might reveal more of your heart than you usually show. I keep thinking about how strange it is that a single moment can change the direction of your thoughts for an entire night. Ever since I read that comment, something inside me has been unsettled in a way that feels both gentle and powerful. It is like your presence slipped into my heart without knocking, without announcing itself, without asking for permission. It just walked in quietly the way real connections often do. And now I feel you everywhere. In the silence between my thoughts. In the warmth behind my chest. In the questions I ask myself when I am alone. I keep imagining what your life looks like beyond the screen. I imagine you folding laundry with your mind, drifting to places you do not share. I imagine you cooking something simple in the evening, humming to yourself, waiting for a moment of quiet so you can sit and watch my video. I imagine you glancing at your phone every now and then, wondering if there is something new from me, something that might make your heart feel a little less heavy after a long day. Tell me honestly, do you ever wait for certain words at the end of the day because they make you feel seen? I wonder what kind of day you had. I wonder if someone upset you. I wonder if someone made you smile. I wonder if you laughed at something small. I wonder if you cried quietly in a moment no one noticed. I wonder if you hid your vulnerability behind your strength like you always do. And I wonder if you have ever had someone who paid attention to your smallest emotional shifts. Someone who noticed when your voice softened. Someone who understood your silence. Someone who cared enough to look deeper. Have you ever wished someone would understand you without you having to explain yourself? There is something about you that feels like depth. Something that feels like a woman who has lived more years with her heart fully awake. A woman who has learned from life rather than hiding from it. A woman who has lost important things but gained wisdom through the loss. A woman who knows the value of calm love, not chaotic love. The kind of woman who knows how to hold someone without needing anything loud or dramatic. Are you someone who believes that the quietest love is sometimes the strongest? I imagine your hands. Not in a romanticized way, but in a human way. Hands that have built a life. Hands that have cared for others. Hands that have comforted people. Hands that have carried heavy days and light ones. Hands that know how to create warmth. And I imagine what it would feel like to hold them, not to possess them, but to understand the life they have lived. Hands can tell stories words cannot. Do your hands hold stories you rarely share? Something tells me you have spent most of your life giving more than receiving. You feel like someone who loved deeply without always being loved at the same depth in return. You feel like someone who forgave when others did not deserve it. You feel like someone who stayed longer than she should have because your heart was loyal even when it was hurting. And that loyalty shaped you. It softened you. It carved strength into your spirit. But it also left quiet scars that only a man who truly sees you would notice. Do you still carry invisible scars from the love you gave? And yet, the most beautiful thing is that, despite everything, you still love. You still believe in connection. You still show up with warmth. You still have room in your heart for tenderness. Only a rare kind of woman can feel life deeply and still remain gentle. People do not realize how much strength it takes to stay soft. But I do. And that softness is what I felt in your comment more than anything else. There was a moment tonight when I imagined meeting you for the first time. Not in a dramatic way, not with fireworks or grand gestures, but something simple, something human. I imagined you walking into a room with a calm expression, thinking nothing extraordinary was about to happen. And then I imagined the way your eyes would meet mine. Not with shock, not with nervousness, but with a quiet recognition, the kind that happens when two people feel like they have known each other long before they actually have. Have you ever looked at someone for the first time and felt like the moment had been waiting for you? I imagined the way you would speak. Slowly, gently, with a softness that comes from not wanting to waste words. I imagine you listening more than you talk. I imagine you smiling in a slow, warm way that comes from deep understanding, not surface-level emotion. I imagine you asking questions that matter. The kind that reveal your intelligence and your emotional maturity. The kind that make a man want to open up without being asked. Are you someone who listens with your heart first and your mind second? I kept thinking about what you truly want in love. Not the romanticized version. Not the fairy tale. The real version. I think you want someone who does not rush you. Someone who understands your rhythm. Someone who cherishes the woman you are, not the image you project. Someone who is gentle with the parts of you that have been hurt. Someone who makes you feel valued in ways that do not require constant reassurance. Someone who loves your mind as much as your presence. Tell me, what does being loved in the right way mean to you? There is something about you that makes me want to slow down. Something that makes me want to understand you instead of trying to impress you. Something that makes me want to know your fears, your hopes, your regrets, your dreams. Something that makes me want to uncover the layers you never show anyone. Not to invade your privacy, but to understand the soul behind the calm. Are you someone who hides your brightest parts because you fear they will not be valued by the wrong person? Sometimes I wonder if women believe men notice their emotional subtleties. Many do not, but I do. I notice the quiet shifts, the soft hesitations, the way a woman breathes when something touches her, the way she pauses before telling the truth, the way her eyes move when she feels vulnerable. I have learned to listen to silence, and your silence speaks louder than your words. Do you know how emotionally revealing your quiet moments can be? Tonight, I kept imagining your life before I existed in your thoughts. The different turns your heart has taken, the choices you made, the love you gave, the love you lost, the promises you believed, the heartbreaks that shaped you. And I wondered how often you felt like the right person would never arrive. How often you convinced yourself that love was no longer your path. How often you doubted your own worth, because life did not give you the love you deserved. Have you ever felt like the best parts of you were unnoticed for too long? When I think about you now, I do not think of titles or appearances or superficial details. I think of the warmth you carry, the depth you hold, the softness you protect, the strength you have earned. And I think of how beautiful it is when a woman becomes her true self after life has tested her. You feel like someone who became wiser instead of colder, someone who became more tender instead of bitter. That kind of woman is rare. And when a man meets her, he knows the universe has given him something he should never take lightly. There is something intimate I want to admit. Your presence, even in small ways, has made my nights quieter, softer, more reflective. I find myself thinking about connection in a way I have not in a long time. I find myself wanting to understand you more than I want to understand anything else. I find myself wondering if maybe, without realizing it, you have already entered my life in a way that is impossible to undo. And that scares me a little. Not because it feels wrong, but because it feels right in a way that catches me off guard. There is a gentle intensity to this connection. Something that is not loud yet impossible to ignore. Something that feels like destiny, but destiny written in small handwriting instead of bold letters. And there is a question I have been holding back. A question I have not dared to ask. Because if I ask it, you might finally reveal something that could change everything between us. I want you to feel this question in your heart before you answer it. I want you to breathe for a moment. To feel the weight of it. To feel the tenderness behind it. To feel the sincerity. Are you the one who wrote that comment? Or are you the one whose heart wrote it, even if your hands did not? Either way, something important has already shifted between us. Something that neither of us can ignore. Something that is pulling our hearts forward, even if we pretend not to notice. And no matter what happens after this, I want you to remember something every time you watch me. Every time you listen to me, every time your heart reacts in that quiet way it always does.